So on this particular site, we knew we had to make it really easy so that the site staff could immediately identify where they were going to put each item of waste. It needed to be clear, it needed to be simple. We worked really hard to make sure that we had lots of pictures to make it clear, and we also translated the signage into different languages. So we had Korean, Filipino and Chinese. We really wanted to make it so that there was no stress and no real extra work for people on site, but it was something that would become part of their culture and get the best outcome that we could.
I've been involved in trying to improve environmental outcomes across water, waste, climate change for many decades actually. And I've come to understand that making the sort of behavioural changes that we need to do things differently as people requires a combination of education, regulation and price, and they all work together to reinforce each other. And this is actually a very sophisticated example of all those things. For example, to sort plastics you actually need to have rules that to a certain extent enable us to have different sorts of grades of plastic so that we can recycle them, and that sits in regulation. You also need to kick up a bit of money to pay for recycling, and we do that by charging people when they dump stuff at the landfill, and then we recycle that money into incentives to pay for the likes of this project that we're doing with Mali Plastics to take the old plastic pipes and munch them all up and incorporate them in new pipes. So education is needed in the workplace so that people sort the materials into the different bins so that we can separate and reuse the different content. So there's that educational concept. We also need to educate the suppliers of these products so that they include less waste in the stuff that they deliver on site. So education, regulation and price.
I think this project works very hard, especially on the educational side. I think being able to make it clear and simple for people on site to be able to separate their wastes, making sure that we're not disrupting their day, we're just making it something that becomes part of the work culture is really important. I think working with the regulators and making sure that it's incentivised as much as possible is also a really important part. And I'd also like to add that another key part to this is really encouraging people to have pride in what they're doing, have pride in the fact that they're doing the right thing. So incentivising it and getting people to care about the environment. And money's always going to be important. So, you know, working together and getting different companies to come together to make options for recycling cheaper and more economical is also a huge part of what we do. Yeah. Without the Plastic Innovation Fund, we already had a small project that had been funded, but to be able to take that further, to be able to develop things like our toolbox kits that we'd like to give out to different contractors, to be able to deliver apps that go online so that people can identify their waste and find that recycling capability in New Zealand. All of that came from the Plastic Innovation Fund. So without that, we really wouldn't be able to go further. And we'd also like to tackle infrastructure projects. That's our next big thing. And again, all thanks to the PIF. So I think this is a really great example of the importance of applied research. It's about having that knowledge and having that really robust research as your background, as your foundation, and then actually being able to apply it to produce a solution that can be used by industry and communities, something tangible that actually makes a difference.